Hey, good morning, guys. Shiva here. We'll start the session in a minute. Let's wait for a few more folks to join this session. Meanwhile, can I get confirmation from your end, those who have joined today directly, not the yesterday's and the demo session? Anyone attending today's session as a first session? You can ping me in the chat box. If not, that should be fine. But if anyone joined today directly without having demo and all, let me know. Okay. Okay, there are a couple of folks who joined the first session today. Okay, fine. I think Madhavi and Raghumaram. So you'll get this complete recordings and the information from one of the YouTube channel which I heard yesterday. But you can just approach to your admin so that they'll guide you how to get all these things. But still today I'll repeat the concepts which I have explained yesterday, and then I'll move forward with software development life cycle, which we are discussing, which the discussion is in progress from yesterday. So let's start the session today. And meanwhile, if you have any questions from yesterday's session, I'll be on pause for a minute. If you have any questions, please raise your questions so that we will discuss those things and then we'll move forward. Okay, fine. If you are good, then I'll be continuing this session. First of all, good morning all. So let me share my screen and we'll see what we have discussed yesterday. And we'll continue with the same thing, whatever is in progress now. Okay. Regular training session started yesterday only. So we started with software quality, and we discussed about one live example, which is something related to our mobile phone purchase kind of thing. Good morning. So we discussed about that, and then later we discussed about what are the technical factors and what are the non-technical factors which are impacting on the software quality. So technical factors are reliability, scalability, and usability, and non-technical factors are price and time, or else we can say price versus time as well. So I think you know the difference between price and time. Price versus time. Versus means comparison we are doing, and means we are considering two factors at a time. So comparison is different, considering all the options is different. So that you have to make some difference, and you have to understand that. If you are not able to get it, let me know, we will discuss about that. And later on we discussed about the concept of testing in the technical terms, which is nothing but verification and validation. I think you'll not get the permission to record the session, Kumar. By default, the session will be recorded and that will be stored with the admin only. So individual recordings may not get the permission, I guess. So even I don't have that things to authorize here now. Okay, so manual testing, we discussed about the definition, technical terms of testing, which is nothing but verification and validation. For this, we discussed about the live example, real-time example, which is related to OTP verification while logging into your net banking portal. So whenever you're trying to log in into your net banking portal, it will try to verify whether you are the right person or not by sending OTP to your mobile. That's called verification process. After you receive that OTP to your mobile, once you entered that OTP into your application, that OTP will be validated. That means verification when you are receiving OTP, validation after you entered OTP to the application. So alternative terms that we are having here is correctness and completeness we can use. But most of the cases, verification and validation are the suitable terms that we are having. So, and there are two approaches that we are having under testing. One is manual testing and second one is test automation. And we discussed about what is the process of manual testing and what is the terms that, what are the terms that we are having automation in automation development and automation testing. Automation development is something like developing the automation script by using some programming or scripting language. Automation testing is something like we are testing, executing the automation scripts, not the developing, just clicking on run button and validating the results based on our requirement. So whether we are getting expected results or not. That's how we are going to check under
results.
automation testing.
That's how we are going to check automation.
I don't know, I'm getting my voice echo. Suman, can you please go on
I'm
mute?
getting my voice echo. So please go on mute.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Is it still breaking?
No, sir, it's okay.
Yeah, okay, fine then. Thank you. So manual testing and test automation approach. So test automation covers with both automation development and automation testing. Automation development is something like where you are going to develop the automation scripts in order to test your application by using any programming or scripting language which you already know, or else which you are going to get the information. Automation testing is nothing but executing the automation scripts and validating the input and output. What is the input? Run the automation script, and what is the output? Here you are not going to involve in any kind of development activities here. You are just validating the result, input result and output result. So your job, even though you know that there are errors in the automation script, even though you are validating the input result and output result, even though you are checking the automation script, you are not authorized person to go with the development kind of thing. So but still right now in the market, a single person, every person should have knowledge on both automation development and automation execution as well. So that's how our market is completely depending on nowadays. And next one we discussed is the basic testing team that we are having based on the global standards: manager, lead, senior engineer, test engineer, and then trainee. And later on we started discussion on manual testing, SDLC. So this is the first concept, first very big concept and very important concept that we are having: software development life cycle. Software development life cycle, which is very important to know how the project is going to get started, and how that can be designed, and how the documents are going to get collected, and how the testing is going to perform, and how the design is going to perform. So each and every point that we are going to discuss under software development life cycle. Basically, whenever we started the software development life cycle, we explained that there are 6 phases under software development life cycle. One is requirement gathering and requirement collection. second one is requirement analysis, third one is design, fourth one is coding or development or implementation, fifth one is testing, sixth one is deployment, release and maintenance. Maybe everything is under single line only. Let me differentiate this to understand what is the heading and what is the sub topic that we have. Yeah. I hope this makes sense. Okay. Okay. So I'll highlight the important points as well in the interview point of view. So let's discuss about the requirement gathering and collection, starting with the same point again today. There are few folks who joined in today's session, right? So we will repeat this point and then we'll go forward with the design and coding, testing, release and maintenance. Requirement gathering or requirement collection. So as I mentioned yesterday, for each and every phase, guys, whenever you join the session, can you please go on mute? Okay. So SDLC, SDLC, requirement gathering and requirement collection. Okay. So requirement gathering or requirement collection, requirement analysis, design, coding or deployment or implementation, testing, release or maintenance. So that the final stage will be deployment or release or maintenance. So first one, there are 6 phases in software development life cycle. All the phases cannot be handled by a single person. So that's the reason each and every phase is being segregated and allocated with one responsible person in the project team. So those things can be defined by every individual who is responsible for that particular phase. Likewise, the phase 1, requirements gathering or requirement collection. So for this phase, the responsible person will be business analyst. So business analyst is the responsible person who is going to collect all the requirements from the customer. So let's say customer will be there and customer wants to have some project where that can be used by end users or the people who wants to use that particular application. So whenever customer wants to have that application to be into the public or to be at the end user environment, so the basic requirements what the customer wants to be implemented, those requirements has to be those requirements to be shared to the business analyst. Business analyst will collect all the requirements from the customer or client or end user, and all the requirements will be documented. The document name, we can call it as a BRS or URS or CRS. That is called business or user or customer requirement specification. And it's a plain document which is having very basic details of requirements. We will not have any in detail requirements here. Let's say login page will be there. Customer has given login page, and login page should have username and password and sign in button. So only these kind of requirements will be noted down in the requirement gathering document. And then requirement analysis, the second phase is. So analysis means analyzing the requirements what we have documented here. So for that, the input document will be the previous one, BRS or URS or CRS, whatever the document which is ready with us, we are going to consider that as an input document for requirement analysis. So who will do the requirement analysis? System analyst is going to perform the requirement analysis. Some companies are going to call it as solutions analyst, right? So even that team also going to analyze the requirements. So they are not going to analyze the requirements directly. They are going to get the support from the BA team, business analyst team, and they are going to analyze the requirements. So analyzing the requirements means what they are going to analyze here? Whatever the requirements that we have logged, whatever the requirements that we have noted down, those things are going to be analyzed with each and every point. That means, let's say I have 100 requirements in BRS document. All these 100 requirements are going to be analyzed. That means any requirement is having conflict, or any requirement is not able to implement on time, or any technical kind of challenges are there, or any kind of resource challenges are there. So all these kind of analysis is going to happen in requirements analysis phase. Everything will be analyzed related to the project. Once after the analysis is completed, there is a process called feasibility study. This feasibility study is going to perform by the BA team along with the project management team. So BA cannot take all the decisions at a time, or complete decision cannot be taken care by the business analyst, but business analyst along with the project management team will perform the feasibility study. What is meant by feasibility study? BA plus okay, what is meant by feasibility study? Feasible, what is meant by feasible? Whether this can be suitable or not, right? Feasibility study means whether this particular requirement, whether these requirements are suitable or not, whether these requirements are feasible to implement or not, whether these requirements are whether our team members are capable to implement these requirements or not. Everything is going to be analyzed here in the feasibility study process. Based on the feasibility study process, once the requirements are okay, that means we can implement all the requirements even though we have some technical challenges, and even though we have some resource challenges, we can implement this. Once we have that confidence, then the project management team and BA are going to send a couple of documents to the customer. Sorry, just give me a moment. Okay. So after this feasibility study, project management team along with BA, they are going to send a couple of documents to the customer. So to get the project sign off, or to get the sign related to the project. So we cannot verbally or we cannot orally ask the customer to have that project in place. So we need to have some written proof. So based on that, there are some set of terms and conditions which is going to happen, which is having the deal between customer and the project management team, or between the organization. So for that reason, they are going to send a couple of documents which are related to the organization standards and project related standards. One is SOW document, second one is RFP and SLA document. SOW is statement of work. What is the work that we are going to perform? What are all the activities that we are going to perform? When we are going to start? When we are going to deliver? How many resources will be allocated? And who is the point of? Everything will be mentioned in the SOW document. And second document will be RFP and SLA, request for proposal and service level agreement. These two documents are related to the terms and conditions related to organization and project standards as well. So what is the service level agreement? What are the expectations? Who are going to use the application? And what is the due date to deliver this particular project. Everything is going to mention in these documents. Once we get signature from the customer, and once we have the deal between customer and our organization, then original work is going to get started. Original work will get started. So we will discuss more in detail points related to all these phases, but still we have 4 phases to discuss. We will discuss those 4 things, and then we'll move to the remaining models of SDLC, so that you'll have clarity on what basis we are going to develop the application. So any questions so far? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So the next phase will be design phase, which is very, I can say, which is very important. Technically, the first step that we are going to enter into, and second thing, which is very interesting thing, and third thing, which is very important as part of application development as well. So design, what is mean by design? Basically, look and feel, and the application should be under eye contact. These 2 are the major things that we are going to consider under designing phase. Look and feel means how the application looks like what is the color, what is the UI, what is the font format, what is the font style, are there any spell mistakes, and what is the language that we are using in the application, and how this font style can be defined. All these things are going to mention under the designing phase. Who is the responsible person for the designing phase? Design architect is the responsible person for the designing phase. Basically, design architect is not going to design all the documents at a time, right? All the activities at a time. There are some set of actions that are going to perform under the designing phase. So those set of actions are nothing but application design document, GUI design document, database design document. Let me reformat this one, reprioritize this one. I'm going to remove this here. I'm going to place it at the end. Okay, first we will discuss about GUI design document, and then database design document, and then application design document. Let me tell you this one. GUI design document, graphical user interface. You can ask me this question. So here in the second phase, I have mentioned this as a input documents for analysis or BRS or URS or CRS, and the output document is FRS. But in the same format, what are the input documents that we are going to use for design? These are the output documents. Anyways, we already know that. But what are the input documents, right? Input documents are FRS, and output documents are GUI design document, database design document, application design document. Application design document. So GUI design document, graphical user interface. Anyone have any idea on this? Graphical user interface.
Yes, sir, I have an idea of it.
Yeah, what is that?
It is in a photo type, or is in a dummy application to validate an validation application.
Okay. Any other inputs?
It is model of the applications.
Okay. Any? Fine. So I'm going to accept those 2 things. One is model of the application, and another one is it's a prototype or dummy screens which are related to the application. But still, user interface is a term that we need to concentrate mainly on this particular area. So there is a term called user interface. What is meant by interface basically? Interface is nothing but it is a medium of communication. It acts like a mediator. It's a medium of communication between 2 objects or 2 things. What is the interface between you and your TV? If you want to watch TV or if you want to watch laptop, what is the medium of communication? Your TV remote or your switch is the interface here, right? So if you want to switch on the fan, what is the interface between you and the fan? Switch is the interface here. That means how you are communicating to the opposite person is nothing but an interface. User interface means you are communicating to the user. Suppose you are the user, if you want to understand the application, if you want to understand the features of the application, so how you are going to understand that application looks like this, or the terminology that we are using in the application behaves like this? How you are going to do that? How you are going to analyze that? It's a graphical user interface. That means based on the graphics, based on the images, based on the media controls that we are going to use, based on the UI that you are going to use, excuse me, based on the UI that you are going to use, based on the look and feel that you are going to use, based on the colors that you are going to use, right? So all these factors are important factors in order to understand how the application design is going to have. Do you know there is an application, every application has to meet some accessibility standards? Do you know that concept? There is a concept called accessibility testing. If anyone have any idea, you can let me know, or else I'll just give you a brief detail on that, why I just mention the terminology here. Okay, let me tell you. There is a concept called accessibility testing. Okay, in this world, there is no person who is 100% perfect, right? There are based on that, this accessibility standards has been set to 4 categories of people: a person who is blind, a person who will not be able to listen, a person who will not be able to touch, a person who will not be able to talk, right? There are 4 categories of people. There might be, because it depends on their internal problems, we are not going to oppose that, but still this accessibility standards has been set for the 4 categories. A person who is perfect, we already know a person can do anything, but apart from that, there are 4 categories: who can't see, who can't talk, who can't listen, who can't be able to touch. Right? For those 4 categories, there is a concept called accessibility testing. Okay, if you are not able to see the application, a person who is completely blind, a person who is having like color blindness, they'll not be able to see light colors too long time. What they can do? Any idea? There are a lot of people who are working as a software architects even though they are blind. On what basis they can do that? Either they have to listen what is happening in the application, right? Or else they have to touch it and feel it. Correct? Are you able to getting my point? Able to
Yes, sir.
understand? Okay, fine. So there are 4 categories which comes under this accessibility standards.
Yes, sir.
So this particular accessibility standards has been set based on the user interface only. If you are, let's say, okay, our Indian government website, if you have time today, you can just observe this one. Our national language will be Hindi, right? For sure, everyone throughout India, everyone knows little bit Hindi. It's a national language, but there is no mandatory that everyone is educated here or everyone knows English as well. We cannot say that. A person knows Hindi may not know English. A person knows Hindi may know English. A person knows English may not know Hindi. Depends on their situation, but everyone will be able to understand what is happening in the application. If you want to understand how this user interface works, how these accessibility standards are going to set in the application, you can just open our government website and see whether that website will have two options. One is the complete application will load in English language, and there is an option called Hindi. If you click on that Hindi, the complete website will turn into Hindi language. Everything will turn into Hindi language. Did you observe that?
Yes, sir.
Why that is
sir.
converting that to Hindi language? A person who
Yes, sir.
doesn't be able to understand English, that person may know Hindi. So if they want to address, if they want to know what is happening in that particular website, they can convert that website into Hindi. That's called user interface and the accessibility standard that we have set. And in the same format, you can observe A plus, A minus on the top of that website. What is that means? Few people may not see the small letters. They have to zoom it. If you click on A plus, the application, the letters on the application is going to get zoom in, right? At the same time, you can zoom out as well. So all these kind of activities comes under user interface only. How the user is going to understand the application, how these graphics are helpful in order to design the application. All these things are going to get documented here in GUI design document. What is the design pattern? What are the design architectures that we have followed? What are the colors that we have followed? What is the look and feel that we are using? What is the UI designing that we are following? What are the UX formats, that user-friendly formats that we are following? Everything is going to get documented. Any questions here? Clear?
Yes, sir.
So next one is database design document. What is meant by database design document? Database design document is nothing but whenever you enter some data into the application, the data has to save in proper table, proper rows and proper columns. Then only you can retrieve the data. Suppose if you have entered some data in the application and you have saved it and you logged out from the application. If you relog into the application again, the same data will be displayed. How it is going to display? Because the data what you have entered in the application it will be saved in the proper table, proper columns and proper rows only. Okay, if the data is going to be misplaced, whenever you relog into the application, you cannot see proper data in the application. The complete data will be jumbled and you cannot see proper data in the application as well. That means database design is nothing but mapping proper tables to your proper fields in the application. Whenever you enter first name has to store in the first name column only in so and so table. Whenever you enter last name has to store in last name column in so and so table. Like that, database mapping is going to happen. From where to where we are mapping is the important thing that we are going to provide in database design document. This particular activity is completely depending on this FRS document. If you don't have FRS document, at least you can design GUI design document. You can assume that login page will be like this and you'll have username and you have password and you have sign in button. And all these things will be there, right? The imagination will be there. But if you don't have FRS document, you cannot design database design document because you don't know what are the database columns and what are the database fields that we are having. Okay, if you don't have FRS document, you may not know which is the mandatory field, which is not, and what are all the fields that we have to capture, and what are the columns that we have to use, and what is the data that we have to store, and what type of data that we have to store in the database. You may not know. So that's the reason, in order to design database design document, FRS is mandatory. Without FRS, 100% database design document you may not get in the real time. And one of the most important thing is application design document. How the application design is going to happen. Application design document. I'll let you know 2 examples here, which I used to explain very, very frequently, so that you'll connect it very easily. What is meant by high level design and what is meant by low level design. Let me prioritize this as well here. Okay. High level design. Let me take Gmail application. What are the features that we are having in Gmail? Inbox, sent items, drafts, trash.
Save.
Sorry, what is that?
Saved items.
Okay. Okay, fine. Let us take these menu items. Okay, rest all will be there, but for our example, I'm going to consider these things. Inbox is there, sent items is there, drafts is there, trash, archive, saved items. What is the relationship between inbox, sent items, drafts, trash, archive, and saved items? Do we have connectivity between all these things?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So what kind of connectivity? Okay, let me tell you. Suppose you received an email to your inbox. Okay, if you are going to reply, that means you are successfully replying to that email, then that replied email will be under sent items. It means there is a connectivity between inbox and sent items. At the same time, if you have an email in your inbox and if you are not replying to that email, you are just drafting the email. That means you're not sending, you're just entering your response to that particular email and you're not sending it right away. So that will be saved under drafts. If you have an email in your inbox and if you're deleting that, that comes under trash. If you have an email in your inbox and if you want to archive it, inbox or sent items, whatever it might be, if you want to archive it, you can archive your email. That means you can save it in one of the archive folder. And saved items, if you have an email in your inbox or sent items and if you want to save that email, you can save it, or else you can flag that email as well, which can mark it as important email. That means there is a link between each and every module that you are having in Gmail application. High level design document is going to explain the connectivity between one module and another module. High level design document is going to explain the connectivity between one module and another module. That means what is the connectivity between inbox and sent items? What is the connectivity between inbox and saved items, drafts and trash, sent items and archive? So what is the connectivity between? One second. Okay, so high level design will talk about the connectivity between the designing between two different modules. That is called high level design document. That is called high level design document. And low level design is nothing but we have Gmail. Under Gmail, we have inbox. In the inbox module, we will have reply. Reply option will be there. Reply all. Move to folder. Delete. Important. These options are going to available in inbox. Likewise, we'll have some options in sent items. We have some options in draft stash. Individual options will be there in each and every module. Low level design is nothing but designing a document with low level details of each and every individual module. We are not talking about two different modules here. We are talking about a single module which is having multiple options here, which is having multiple options. So high level design will talk about two different modules. Low level design is going to talk about one module which is having individual features inside that module. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you one more point here so that it is easy for you to understand. Maybe this point is going to repeat in future as well. In testing, we have a concept called integration testing. Here also we are going to discuss about the similar point, which is nothing but high level integration. Low level integration. So it is almost similar only. So if you want to remember this point, you can. Otherwise, you can remember up to here, and the same point I'll repeat it in integration testing concept as well. High level integration testing. One of the best example I can say. Suppose you have HDFC Bank ATM card. Okay, you have your account in HDFC Bank, and you are withdrawing your money in ICICI ATM. There are two different banks I'm talking about. Okay, one is one account information in one bank, but you're making some transaction in another bank. So whenever you are doing such kind of transactions, whenever you are dealing with such kind of applications, whenever you are dealing with two different applications, okay, so even though if you are withdrawing money in ICICI Bank ATM, your account, your HDFC Bank will be updated that you have withdrawn so and so money from so and so ATM. Will that happen or not? Right? It will happen immediately. It won't take much time to, right? If you withdraw your money, then immediately it will update your account, right? So high level integration is nothing but integrating or the communication between two different applications or two different modules is nothing but high level integration. Low level integration, doing transaction at the same bank. You have your HDFC Bank account and you are withdrawing money in HDFC Bank. You are doing at the same bank level, right? Same transactions, same transaction level. So that means it will update immediately again. So it won't take much time, but understand the concept, how the approachability is going to happen here. High level integration means two different servers, two different application, two different transactions. Everything is different, but the communication is going to happen here. The network communication is going to happen here, which is nothing but high level integration. Low level integration is nothing but within the same bank, doing the same transaction within the same network, everything is going to get updated here, which is nothing but low level integration. Is it similar? Are you clear with this? Do you have any questions? Take a couple of minutes, recall everything what I have explained so far under the design phase. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be on mute till then. Sorry, I'll wait for a minute. Now the time is 8:49. I'll wait till 8:50. So if you have any questions, let me know, or else we'll move to the next phase, coding, development, or implementation.
Sir, what is the output document for designs?
That's what I have mentioned the heading, right? GUI design,
Yes. Sir.
database design, application design. These are the documents only. These are not the technical UI part that we have here. These are the documents, output documents that we have in design phase.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are good. We'll move forward to coding or development or implementation part. So as I mentioned in the above points, the responsible person for coding or development or implementation phase. Database design document. Give me some example. Okay. So one of our team members has this question. So database design document, give me some example. Okay, let me tell you this example now. So I'll let you know this example and then I'll go forward with coding or development or implementation. Okay. Sai Nikhil. Do you know the passport application?
Yes, sir.
Right. So let's say you have signed up. Okay, that means you registered your account in passport application and you have entered your details and you want to register a slot. Okay, so in a single shot you may not do all these things, right? So today you are going to sign up. Okay, today you are going to do the registration of your account. Tomorrow, once you logged into your portal, passport portal, it will have 4 to 5 screens where you have to enter all the details. Okay, so first screen you have to enter your name and you have to enter your first name, last name, email, your education, or your some contact details will be there. At the bottom of the screen, if you observe, you are going to have cancel, save and next. There are 3 buttons will be there. There are 3 buttons on the screen. One is if you click on cancel, whatever the details that you have entered, those details will lost. If you click on save, whatever the details that you have entered will be saved and you'll be on the same screen. If you click on save and next, the details what you have entered will be saved and it will navigate to the next screen. Right? Did you observe this?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say, for example, I have entered few details in the first screen and I logged out from the application after clicking on save button. Okay. Today I have entered few details and I clicked on save button and I logged out from the application. Tomorrow, after you log into the application, relog into the application to continue to enter further details in the remaining screens, whatever the details that you have entered yesterday, will you be able to see the details or not?
Saved items.
Those gets loaded, right? Right?
Yeah.
So how?
Saved items.
Sorry, can you please repeat that?
Saved items.
Sorry, I didn't get that what you are saying. Sorry, I may not be able to understand what you are saying, but still, let me continue with this example. So when you relog into the application, what is going to happen? The same details will be loaded on the screen. How it is going to get loaded? First name will be displayed beside first name. Last name will be displayed. Phone number will be displayed. Email address will be displayed. All these things are going to get loaded once you relog into the application, because when you click on save button, the details what you have entered will be saved in the database. Yeah, saved items, sorry. The details will be saved in the database. Whatever the first name you have entered, that will be saved in first name. Last name will be saved in last name. Phone number will be saved under phone number. Email address will be saved under email address. Like that, whatever the details that you have entered, that will be saved in your respective database. Those kind of details are going to get populated if you are going to relog in into the application. If you relog in into the application, if the details are not populating properly, that means you are not mapping the proper fields to the database. You are not mapping proper fields to the database. Here, there are different types of databases which are available in the market technically. I can say SQL, Oracle, MySQL, Postgres, Todd, different databases are available. Okay, but still, what database that you are using to your application, what are the tables that you are going to create, and how you are going to save the data, and which data has to save in which table, which data has to save in which column, all these points are going to get included in the database design document. It's a document. It's not a technical thing that we are discussing here now. It's a document only. You are representing how the data is going to map to your database tables. Okay, if the database design document is not properly structured, or if you are not mapping proper fields to your database, the data will not be retrieved or the data will not be loaded into your application if you are going to relog in. Sometimes you may see the phone number is not going to get loaded properly. The first name will not load properly. The last name will not load properly. Why? Why these things are going to happen? Because when you are mapping your database to your application, it is having some issue. It may have some issues, or else mapping is not properly aligned with respect to your application. That's one of the main reason the database document is very important in order to understand what are the mapping, what are the areas that we have mapped with your application, with respect to the application. Those things are going to get included in database design document. Clear?
Clear.
Fine. So next thing is coding or development or implementation. These three terms are similar. I'm not going to differentiate or define these three individually. Coding means writing a program, development means writing a program, implementation means implementing your functionality by writing some programs. The responsible person for coding or development or implementation is dev team. Development team is going to take care of these kind of programmatic challenges here. So how the application can be developed? By writing a programming or by writing some programs or scripts which can be used to develop the functionality of an application. Here in the design phase, they are going to give the designing part only. They are not going to define the functionality here. They are going to design the UI of the application. Based on that UI, based on that UX, whatever the user friendliness that they have created under the design phase, those things will be used in the coding phase, and the functionality is going to get implemented. What is the difference between coding and design here? Okay, so in the UI part, in the designing phase, in the user interface phase, in the user interface, they are going to define what are the fields that we have in the application. Okay, and what kind of data that we can enter based on the database design document, and what are the modules that we have in the application based on the application design document. But in coding phase, what are the mandatory fields? What are the data that we have entered? What are all the data that we have to enter in the application? And what kind of data that we have to enter in the application? In the phone number field, what kind of data that we have to enter, whether it is a number or not. Once we enter the data, clicking on submit button, what has to happen in the application? If you click on save, what has to happen in the application? All these kind of functionality standards will be set by the development team. So functionality wise, which is mandatory and which is not mandatory, and which is optional, which is not an optional thing, can be decided in the coding phase only. So the representation part on how the application functionality is going to work. Okay, the implementation part on how the application functionality is going to work, and from navigational part, like from which screen to which screen we have to navigate, from if you click on submit button, what has to happen, what data has to be saved in the database, or what data has to be saved in the application, everything will be controlled by the development team under coding phase. There is nothing much here. Even for the coding also, the important document is FRS document only. Without FRS document, we cannot even implement a single line of method or functionality in order to understand how this works. So FRS document is very important in each and every phase in order to develop the program or develop the functionality. And the output document will be SRS. Software requirement specification. That means what kind of softwares that we have used, and what kind of programmatic methodologies that we have used, and what kind of design patterns that we have used, and what are the programmatic challenges that we have used, and what is the version that we have used to develop the program. That software version will be there, right, to design the programs. For example, if you are going to write the programs in .NET, Visual Studio will be there. If you want to write a programs in Java, Eclipse, or IntelliJ, all this IntelliJ IDE will be there. All this kind of stuff is going to be maintained in SRS document based on the versions that we are going to have. And next one is testing phase. Any questions so far in coding or development or implementation? Okay, one assignment before going to testing phase. I'll give you 5 minutes time. You can use this 5 minutes of time. Now the time is around 9:04. I'll be back around 9:10. So your assignment will be, what is the difference between bug? You can Google it and let me know. What is difference between error, bug, issue, fault, defect. So check this terminology in Google and let me know. So I'll give you 5 minutes of time. Let me know. I'll be back around 9:10. Meanwhile, I'll be on mute. If you have any questions, you can ping me in the chat window. Okay, did you get the answer?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, so first we'll start with defect. What is defect?
Defect is also called as an incident or fault. It is a deviation between actual result to the expected result.
Okay. Okay, one interview tip again from your answer. Okay.
Yes.
I asked you what is meant by defect. Your answer starts with it's an incident or fault. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Don't use the word which is already there in the list.
Okay.
Do you understand my point? It's an incident or fault, you said. Fault is already there in the list. If you can observe, what is the difference between error, bug, issue, fault, and defect? If you are defining defect, don't include error, bug, issue, fault. You need to define defect. What is meant by defect? It's a deviation between actual result and the expected result. That is a proper answer for that. I hope you understand, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you are including another terminology when you are defining second terminology, that creates another question to the interviewer. Do not include those kind of things. Okay.
Okay.
So it's one of the interview tip again.
Okay.
Next, what is meant by error?
Mistakes that are identified in programming level.
Not defined correctly level.
Human being mistakes. It
Okay.
is.
Mistake made by programming during coding.
Okay. All the answers are acceptable. Bug.
System fail.
Sorry, what is that?
An error found during the testing phase is called bug.
That's what. If you are defining bug, again, don't include error.
Unexpected flaw.
Unexpected flaw.
The defects which are
Any test case is failed,
the application as per required.
Sorry, the application. Can you please repeat that? Your voice is broken.
Sir, the application or software not working as per the requirement.
Or we can say the deviation between the expected result and the actual result.
That's a defect. Even the last point someone said, like, application is not working as expected. That is also a defect.
Recording in progress.
Okay. I'll leave it for the day. You can check it and let me know tomorrow. What is the issue? Issue.
any of the feature is not working, that is called issue.
Okay. Fault. Fault.
It could be a programming error or it could be a misuse of system by the user or something like that.
Misuse of system by the user can be accepted, but it's not a programming error. That's what I'm saying. Don't include other term when you're defining other terminology. So if you are defining fault, you should not include the remaining 4 terms. If you are defining the error, you should not include the remaining 4 terms. So like that, you have to manage. So far, whatever the answers that I have heard, defect is correct, error is correct, and fault is correct. Bug and issue, you have to know. Okay, so search it and let me know in tomorrow's session. There is no hurry with that, but still, why I'm asking this question before going to start the testing phase is testing is your responsible job, and the main activity of testing, the main theme of testing is to improve the quality of a software. But your daily job or your daily activity will be, you may find out the defects, or you may find out the bug, or you may find out the error, you may find out the issue, you may find out the fault. There is a slight difference between each and every term that I have mentioned here. I cannot say all are same, all are similar. I can say it's almost equal, but there is a small difference between each and every term that you are seeing there. Okay, whenever you are defining each and every term with that simple difference, make sure you are going to understand it and considering the definition into your terminology. Defect is very crystal clear when you are defining it. I can say it's a deviation between actual result and expected result. The note point what I have mentioned is, once again explain it. Whenever you are explaining the defect, don't use the terms, remaining 4 terms are there, right? Error, bug, issue, and fault. Don't use these 4 terms. Whenever you are defining error, don't use bug, issue, fault, and defect. Whenever you are defining bug, don't use error, issue, fault, and defect. Likewise, whenever you are defining this term, error, you should not include these 4. Okay, that's the one of the important tip that you need to follow here. I hope you understand this point. So as of now, I can accept defect, error, and fault. Bug and issue, just keep in your mind, search it in Google or get the answers from your circle and let me know in tomorrow's session. There is some small difference between each and every terminology. For sure, you have to get this information. Without this basic information, the daily activity cannot be fulfilled in the testing phase. That's the main important point that you have to understand before going to get the term related to testing. Okay, now we'll discuss about the test phase. What is meant by testing? We already know, checking or validating the customer requirements, whether those are implemented as per the customer expectations or not. Or else we can say it as a verification plus validation. In order to start the testing, there are 5 different terms that you have to know as part of the documentation. One is test plan and test strategy. Earlier, test plan is different, test strategy is different. Nowadays, test plan and test strategy both are in a single document and both are same. Test scenarios, test cases, test results or test report, test closure. Test closure. So what is meant by test plan or test strategy? I'm going to give you the definitions only in this session, but whenever we are discussing about software testing lifecycle, we will discuss more detailed documentation part of each and every name that I have mentioned here. Okay, test plan and test strategy. Test plan is nothing but it's a planning document for a project which can be used to define what type of testing activities that you are going to perform. Okay, what type of testing activities that you are going to perform is going to discuss under test plan document. And test strategy, how many resources are available to this particular resource, what is the functionality that we have allocated, how many hours that we can estimate to complete this functionality testing, and how many hours that we need to give to that particular resource in order to complete the testing activity. All these things are going to mention at the resource level in test strategy document. Test strategy is nothing but it's a plan, it's a kind of strategy in order to perform the testing activity. What type of testing activities that we have to perform is nothing but it's a planning. What is a plan? What is your plan of action to test this application? So I'm going to perform integration testing, I'll do regression testing, I will do retesting, I'll do system testing. All these things you have to define in test plan document. Test scenarios. Anyone, any idea on this? What is the difference between test scenario and test case? Any idea? Okay, so it's a simple thing. In single word we can define test scenario and test case. Test scenario is nothing but what to do. Test cases are nothing but how to do. Test scenario is nothing but what to do. Test cases are nothing but how to do. Both are, I cannot say both are dependent, both are interrelated, we can say. If you are having scenario, you must have at least one test case. One test case to n number of test cases are acceptable. There is no limit for that. Okay, so test scenario is nothing but what to do. Okay, simple example I can say, I want to log in into Gmail application. I want to log in into Gmail application. What is the test scenario here and what is the test case here? Test scenario is nothing but login to Gmail application itself is the scenario. It's a single line description. We are not going to define much here. Login into Gmail application is the scenario. How you are logging into Gmail application is the test case. Like I'm going to open the Chrome browser. I'm going to enter the URL. I'm going to enter the username. I'm going to enter the password. I'm going to click on sign in button. I'm going to log in into the application and click on logout. I'll log out from the application. So test scenario is nothing but what you are going to perform in a single line description you have to define. Test case is nothing but how you are going to navigate that functionality, how you are going to test that functionality is nothing but test case. It's a stepwise description, we can call it as. Or else if you want to mention it very clearly, single line description of functionality, how to do steps wise description of functionality. So it's a stepwise description. Each and every step you are going to mention there. That's called test case. Test results are test report. Let's say I have 100 test cases. Out of 100 test cases, how many are passed, how many are failed? If you are having 95% pass percentage, then we are good to prepare the report. We will send the test results document to our manager or to the development team saying we are having good pass percentage in the test case execution. And we are going to close this testing activity. So likewise, test results or test report is nothing but how many test cases are there, out of which how many are passed, how many are failed, and what is the pass percentage, what is the failed percentage. If you are having failed percentage, what are the defects that you have created, and what are those defect numbers that you have created, how many defects you have created. All these things has to be included in the test results or test report document. Test closure. If your application is good to release, good to deliver to the customer or client, then minimum 95% of your major functionality has to work properly as per the customer requirements. So those 95% should not have any errors. Rest of the 5% should be medium or low priority issues. It might be, but for those also you should have defect numbers, and you have to include those defect numbers in the closure report, and then you have to send the document for application deliverable activity. Test closure means you are closing the testing activity. You are closing the testing activity. If you are closing the testing activity, the minimum pass percentage required is 95% of your functionality has to work properly, and we should not have any issues there. Right? Any questions here? Test planning is nothing but what type of testing activities that you are going to perform in the application. Those things has to mention in test planning document. Test strategy means strategy on the resources, planning, estimates, the type of functionality that we are going to assign to each and every resource. And then test scenario is nothing but what to do. It's a single line description of functionality, what you are going to perform. And test case is nothing but how to do. It's a stepwise description of the functionality, how you are going to test that. Test results or test report is nothing but how many test cases are there, out of which how many are passed, how many are failed. For failed ones, what are the defect numbers that you have created, how many defects that you have created, and what are the status of that particular defects. And test closure. So before closing that testing activity, what are the total number of cases, out of which 95% should be the pass percentage, remaining 5% may or may not be the failed percentage. If you are having failed percentage, what are the defects that you have created, and those defects should be in medium and low priority only. So those defects has to be solved as soon as possible, and we are going to close the testing activity. Any questions?
Sir, in this testing, we
Hmm.
have to use methodologies like black box testing with testing team.
Hmm.
But we are in test and test scenarios like, but
Hmm.
we have how when like use these testing methodologies, sir.
Okay, so this particular point, not only black box testing we are going to discuss, we are going to have white box testing, we are going to have gray box testing, we are going to have static testing approach, we are going to have dynamic testing approach, we are going to have system testing, we are going to have integration testing, we are going to have unit testing, component, everything will come under software testing life cycle. We are not discussing about the testing life cycle here. We are just discussing about the phases of software development life cycle. Okay, after the software development life cycle, we are going to have two more concepts. One is software development life cycle methodologies, and after the defect life cycle, and after defect life cycle, we are going to start with software testing life cycle. In the testing life cycle, we are going to discuss about each and every terminology related to the testing activity. So there you are going to get black box testing, white box testing, system testing, or end-to-end testing, regression testing, retesting, everything will be covered.
Okay, sir.
Okay, this is just a development life cycle. Don't worry about the individual terminology. Okay, you have to know what are the 6 phases and what are the activities that we are going to perform and what are the input and output documents here we have. Okay, next one. Any other questions? Fine. Let's go to deployment or release, deployment, release, and maintenance. Don't use the word or here. Deployment, release, and maintenance. There are 3 terms here. What is meant by deployment? Any idea about that? Okay, deployment,
Product into the market.
that's a release.
Developed by the software team.
That's a development. Deployment.
And what we are going to develop that was be installed in user interfaces or user space or user database.
Installing the
40%
software in
acceptable.
users.
40% acceptable again.
Client has satisfied our work productions.
What is that? Client?
Satisfied. Client satisfied our works.
That's a user acceptance. What is meant by the word called deploy? Okay, let me tell you this way. So we have 30 people around in this session, right? So let's say we are all development team. Okay, everyone is working on application development only. That means 30 members are working on 30 different functionalities. Okay, So one person is working on one functionality, second person is working on second functionality. Like that, 30 persons are working on 30 different functionality. All 30 people, all 30 members are working on the same program. Do you think that 30 different functionalities, if I'm saying 30 programs will be there, right? Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Right? So 30 different members are working on 30 different functionalities. That means 30 different programs will be there. If you are developing an application, with 30 different programs, how are you going to merge all these 30 different programs into a single application? Application has to work, right? At the end of the day, let's say 30 members are there. One person is working on inbox, second person is working on sent items, third person is working on drafts, fourth person is working on archive, fifth person is working on some other trash or drafts or some other activity. Like there are 5 persons who are working on 5 different modules of the application, right? How you are going to merge all these programs into a single thing? It's an integration, which I know already, but still, if you want to see the application in a single frame which has been loaded with all these kind of modules, what you have to do? You have to deploy, or you have to merge all your programs into a single unit, single application. Deployment is a daily activity which is going to perform based on the work that we are going to design on daily basis. In a single day, you cannot implement all the programs, right? Today you worked on some program, tomorrow you are going to continue the same work, day after tomorrow you are going to continue the same work. But that means you are going to adding your functionalities, or you are going to add the programs to your list. At the end of the day, you should not keep all the programs into your local system. You have to deploy it into the server. You have to move those programs into the server. So the moment, like whatever the programs that you are moving to the server, the process is called deployment. You are deploying your programs to the server. So for this deployment, we are having some tools which are available in the market. So which we are calling that as a continuous integration and continuous deployment tools, which are nothing but GitHub, Jenkins. Nowadays we are having Azure, AWS, DevOps. All these things comes under continuous integration and deployment activities. Don't get confused here. Deployment is different, development is different. Development is writing a program. Deployment means whatever the programs that you have written, those things has to move to the server. Those things has to move to the server, or we can call that as a repository. Repository means it's a storage location where you are going to store all the data related to your application. Understand? You'll get more and more details whenever we are discussing about the automation. Okay, in automation, you can see whatever the automation programs that we are going to write, we are going to deploy that as well. In the similar format, even developers can do that. Okay, once after all the programs are being deployed, once the deployment is done, then the application will be released to the customer. Without deployment, can we release the application? Is it possible?
No, sir.
No, right? User cannot see the application without deployment. So if user wants to see the complete UI of an application, we have to deploy it. We have to store it in some server, right? So after deployment, the application will be released into the market or to the end user. Once after the application is being released, then the remaining phase is called maintenance phase. Then the remaining phase is called maintenance phase. So here you have to understand two terms again. One is release, second one is build. What is the difference between build and release? Okay, let me tell you. It's a regular term whenever you are entering into any organization. So build is nothing but build, release.
Build is like a module.
No. I'm using some, I'm not satisfied with this word, but still I'm using sending the application from development team to testing team. That means if testing team wants to test the application functionality after development, developer is going to send that application for the testing team, which is nothing but a build. Okay. Sending the application from testing team to client. Here, instead of sending, I can say delivering the application from testing team to client or customer. So from development team to testing team, that's a nothing but build. It's an internal build what we are going to use for testing activity. Once after testing is completed, you need to release the application, right? So the testing team has to confirm whether the application is working as per the requirement or not. So once the testing team confirms that we can deliver the application, that is called release. So there are 3 teams involved. One is development team, testing team, and end user team. So from development team to testing team is called build, testing team to end user team is called release. Fine. Any questions? Maybe I'll review these words which I'm using, but here this one, sending or delivering, maybe the suitable words I'll try to replace here, but rest of the content what I have mentioned is same for the definition point of view. Any questions? Fine. The output of this deployment, release and maintenance phase is user manual and help documentation. Help documents are something related to how to use the application and how to navigate the functionality. Everything will be mentioned under the help documents. User manual is something like what is the main theme of the application and what are the indexes available and what are the modules available in the application. Can you please go on mute? Yeah. So any other questions? Any questions you have? If you don't have, I'll go with the interview point of view questions now in SDLC phases. So under SDLC phases, the interview point of view questions are how many phases that we have in SDLC. So some interviewers may expect 6 phases, some may expect 8 phases. So if they are expecting 6 phases, you can mention all these things: requirement gathering or collection, analysis, design, coding, testing, deployment, release, and maintenance. If they are expecting 8, then you can divide this deployment, release, and maintenance into 3 parts. That means requirement gathering or collection, analysis, design, coding, testing, deployment, release, maintenance. Like that, you can divide that. And main thing that they are going to concentrate here is design phase. One of the main thing that they are going to concentrate. And second thing that they are going to concentrate is testing. And third priority they are going to concentrate is release and maintenance phase. They may ask you the question related to build and release as well. What is meant by build and what is meant by release? And in design phase, they are going to ask you the questions: what is meant by GUI design document, what is meant by application design document, and what is meant by database design document. And in testing, they're going to ask you They're going to ask you the questions related to the test plan, or it's a simple terms only. They are not going to ask you much details in the SDLC phases here, but they are going to ask you the definitions related to this. Only few questions that you are having here. Anything that you want to repeat, or if you have any questions, please do let me know so that I can repeat those points, and then I'll move forward with SDLC methodologies. Okay, anyone have any idea how many methodologies that we have, models that we have in SDLC?
Yes, sir. Waterfall model, agile model.
My question is, how many models?
4 models.
Okay. Any other number?
It is 6.
Okay, any other number? Okay, 4, no. 6 also no. Don't tell the number. If you know how many modules, tell me the number.
Maybe 8.
3 models, sir.
No 5, no 3, maybe 8. 8 is correct, but what are those?
One is waterfall model.
Okay, let me note down.
Spiral model.
Okay.
Agile model.
V model.
Agile.
V model. Next.
V model. Next. Prototype model. Prototype model.
Guys, can you please go on mute? Someone is talking.
Guys, can you please go on mute? Someone is.
Okay. Next.
RAD model.
Okay. Next.
Iterative model.
Iterative. Okay. Okay. Let me consider that as an optional. Next.
Prototype model.
Already we have.
The spiral model.
Big Bang.
No, that's an integration testing approach. Spiral we already have.
V-shape model.
Big Bang.
Big Bang is an integration approach. It's not a model. V model we already have.
Incremental model.
One and only final one. This is old and outdated, but still we have considered that as a SDLC model. We have one. Okay, fish model is the final one I can say here. Fish model we have waterfall model, spiral model, agile model, V model, prototype model, RAD model, incremental model, fish model. I'm going to add one more. Someone said iterative model as well, that I'm going to consider that as an optional. Why I'm going to consider that as an optional, I'll let you know when I'm explaining about this particular model. Okay. That's what Big Bang model is not a SDLC model. It's an integration approach, integration testing approach, how you are integrating all the modules into a single unit. There are two approaches. One is Big Bang model approach. Second one is top to bottom approach. And third one is bottom up approach. And fourth one is hybrid approach. So Big Bang model is not SDLC model. It's a integration testing or integrating module approachability that we are going to have. I don't know who said this Big Bang model is a SDLC model. It's not a SDLC model. It's a integration model, integrating modules into different approachabilities are there. So out of that, Big Bang model is one of the approach. Okay, so we discussed about the 6 phases of SDLC. So all these 6 phases, how you are going to use all these 6 phases in each and every module. So listen to this point very carefully. All these 6 phases, how you are using all these 6 phases in each and every module. Okay, one phase is not applicable to one model I'm talking about. How you are going to use these 6 phases in waterfall model? How are you going to use these 6 phases in spiral? How you are going to use these 6 phases in Agile? How you are going to use these 6 phases in V model, prototype model, RAD model, fish modeling? So we are going to define each and every model with all the 6 phases. Understand? Here is a frequently asked question. So in waterfall model, which phase we are using? No, this is not the right question. In waterfall model, all the 6 phases can be used, but how you are using all the 6 phases is the important thing. Right now, the market leading models are Agile model, and there are a lot of people who are working in waterfall model too in few of the companies, but still Agile model is one of the best approach that we have in the current IT market. You know what is the reason behind that? You'll come to know when we are discussing about the Agile model. For each and every model, we are going to discuss about the technical diagram. We are going to discuss about the phases that we are going to use in each and every model, how we are going to deal with each and every model with all these 6 phases, and what are the advantages of each and every model and disadvantages of each and every model. So these things that we are going to start from the next session. So the document related activities are almost updated. Maybe you'll get the document tomorrow after the session, I guess. So by this weekend, you'll have this document and you can just go through each and every concept that I'm going to explain. Tomorrow we will discuss about waterfall model, prototype model, RAD model, spiral model. 4 models that we are going to cover in tomorrow's session. Rest of the 4 models we'll cover in the day after session, like on Monday or whenever. Okay, so 4 models if you have time: waterfall, prototype, RAD, spiral. We are going to discuss about these 4 models, and we are going to discuss about the interview point of view questions from these 4 models. If you have time, just go through that. And apart from this, we have one more assignment called what is the difference between bug, fault, error, defect, issue. Get this information as well. Tomorrow we'll start first 5 to 10 minutes. We'll repeat the concepts what we have discussed today, and later on we'll jump on to the assignment part. What is the difference between bug, issue, effect, defect, and defect, error, and fault, and then we'll come to SDLC models. Okay, any questions? Okay, end of the session, one more tip in the interview point of view. So from this session, from the candidates what we have in our training session, I have observed few things when you are asking questions. When you are asking your questions verbally, like orally, when you're talking to me, Okay, you're asking your questions in a polite way. Okay, but when you are providing a question at the chat window, I'm not seeing that kind of message conveys to your through your chat window. If you're not able to understand, let me repeat the point. So if you are asking the question orally, if you are unmuting your mic and if you're asking the question, you're starting with, sir, can you please repeat this point? If you are providing the same message in the chat window, that is appreciable. Sir, can you please repeat this point? But there are lot of messages when I'm seeing, if you are answering the question, that should be fine. If you are asking me to repeat, either you can call with the name or you can call, or else it should have some prefix and suffix. Make sure you are going to include that in the interview point of view as well. Sir, can you please repeat the question? There are few observations which I have made in this chat window. Can you please repeat that? Who has to repeat that? Right? One of the important communication tip when you are facing the interview. Daily, it has to be improved. It should not downgrade when you are attending the interview. Make sure you are going to add your tips, whatever the tips that I'm telling you. Make sure you are going to add these tips to your interview standpoint of view. And remember when you are attending the interviews. It's a best way to learn both the things. Technical interview point of view as well as communication interview point of view. So in the demo session, someone asked me, okay, can you please guide us the communication skills as well? I said, basic kind of communication skills related to the interview point of view, I'll guide you. From that point, I'm just reminding you this kind of things has to be improved going forward. There are a lot of people I'm 100% satisfied and appreciable for their communication, but still make sure when you are writing those kind of things, so which is very important for your email communication or written communication, make sure your context should have prefix or suffix at least. Right? That's all from my end. If you have any questions, you can ask me so that I can answer to your questions, and then are we good?
Sir.
Yeah. Fine. If we are good, then we can wrap up the call for today, wrap up the session for today. And if you have any questions, please log them down when you're rewinding this particular. Mostly I don't have plans for this Saturday. I'm not sure. I think Yamini messaged about this. Don't we have session on Saturday? That I'll confirm tomorrow, because as we started this training session only this week, I didn't plan for the Saturday session. We'll see it in future, maybe next weekend or after that next weekend, we'll see it. Okay, but if we require a session on Saturday, I'll inform you 1 or 2 days before. Okay, this Saturday we don't have. That means today is first, right? On third we don't have. December 3rd we don't have. Tomorrow we will have the session. Okay, fine guys, thank you so much. Thanks for your time, and we'll meet you in tomorrow's session, and make sure we are going to have the assignment in place. And let me know if you have any questions when you are rewinding these particular concepts, and list down all the questions. I'll help you in explaining the same thing tomorrow as well. Okay, thank you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.